Wow,
New
that's
week.
gonna sound awful.
Yeah, it probably does.
Guess who are not music producers in this stream?
Beth Dixon and Dylan Zahner.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've written every single piece of music
that's ever been created. Can we just talk about how terrible that meme is? This is an intervention of
I've
that's
used that
me.
for years. And what's great about it is that there's inevitably at least one person that goes, "That's so stupid." And then they can't stop saying, "Oh, Beth wrote that." Afterwards,
Yeah.
it's so good.
It's so dumb. It's for those who don't know, Beth has this joke where the joke is she says she's written every single piece of music that's ever been created. But I won't
always. Sometimes I just straight up go like, "Oh, I wrote the song," and I'll say something like that. But then other times I really disguise it. And I was like, "Oh my God. Okay, so this song is crazy because I wrote it in college," or I'll do something like that, right? That like really acted up.
That's so dumb.
I've been doing it for years, but then it really came to life in your stream before I started streaming. I started saying it all the time because you used to play a lot of music in your streams, and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I wrote this song," and you eventually just kind of caved, and you were like, "Oh yeah, Beth wrote the song, guys."
Yeah, Beth did that.
And your husband did the same thing, but then I started streaming to the point where I had so many clips on my channel of me just going, "I wrote that song," and I'm just talking about songs.
It's so dumb. I just don't get it. But you know what? Here we are.
What's not to get? I have written every piece of music.
Shut up. You're no different than a stockbroker. But welcome on in, everyone. Welcome to Hot Mess Moments, your weekly dose of hot mess shenanigans. My name is Dylan Zahner, also known as 8-Bit Dylan, and Lost is my favorite show, but I've never seen The Nanny before.
And I'm Beth Dixon, also known as Augusta 111, and The Nanny is my favorite show, but I've never seen Lost before. But today we are talking about The Nanny, season 2, episode 9, the stock tip, and I am so excited because as I was telling Dylan right before we jumped onto this recording, I truly feel like we have officially reached the pinnacle of like, this is the bar of what I feel like the comedy, the quick wit, the physical comedy, those kind of things are going to be from here on out until the end of the series. There are obviously going to be some stronger episodes than others. Like there's obviously going to be better episodes, but this, when I think of like a par Nanny episode, this is exactly what it is. So
this episode, and I'll get into my full review of it, was a chef's kiss. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
But before we get into the episode, I need to know, how has your week been?
My week has been pretty good. My weekend is like, I had to work both days. I had to get up early and get on a train and go to the Upper East Side for the past 2 days, both of which are kind of my own doing. So I had to do some work. I met with my students. So I didn't get too much of a weekend, but I got to hang out with my brother a little bit today. So that was nice.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, he came over. His wife wasn't feeling great. Normally Vika and I are the ones that kind of hang out, but I don't ever really hang out one-on-one with my brother anymore. So he came over, we played a little bit of Mario Kart, and then we went up and worked out together. And then he left, and I started streaming 15 minutes later, and so I looked like a hot mess.
Par for the course. Same. My hair was looking messy as hell, but honestly, I don't care.
But why? It does not look messy as hell, and why is that, Dylan?
Because I got a haircut today. I got a haircut. But I fucking love that meme. It's so stupid. Why did she do that? For those who don't know, okay, if you're listening right now and you don't know what balagda is, you need to look up on YouTube BALEGDAH balagda.
It's the girl from Little Mix.
Yeah, Little Mix, I think, and they're trying to do a
they're trying to do
Accent
accents,
challenge.
and she gets Jamaican. Which, first of all, accent challenges can quickly get like super racist.
Yeah,
And I feel like Jamaican is about to get to that point where it can get really racist.
Well, I think she realizes that.
And I think that's why she doesn't want to do it.
Here's my theory. Yeah, she doesn't want to do a Jamaican accent because she knows it's going to become offensive. So she's like stressing out, nervous, and she just says, "Balagna."
But the best part is she says, first of all, in that is when you learn she has the largest mouth I've ever seen in my life. She's just like, "Balagna." She doesn't say it with a scream like I did, but she's like, "Balagna."
Yeah, it's truly like, honestly, stop listening, go watch the video, then come back. So you can really truly understand the impact on our culture as a human race that Belegda has had.
You know what this is inspiring me to do is write an auto-tune song of just Belegda.
Honestly, you'd finally get a music production credit.
I mean, it is the biggest part of my career that's a problem, is that I'm never credited for all the work credited.
It's true. No, okay. I have to tell you, super sweet. It was my husband and I's 2nd year wedding anniversary this weekend. And so
exciting.
Yesterday I felt really bad. I had this whole thing planned out that we were going to do, and we kind of weren't able to do it.
Why?
So originally we were going to go on this donut shop tour because he loves donuts. But we decided to pare that back. We decided to just go to like one of the better donut shops in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
So go to that donut shop. The donuts were pretty good. I wouldn't say, honestly, there's never, and I'm going to go on record and say this, there is no such thing as a really good donut.
I agree.
I agree. Like,
I don't care about donuts that much.
Yeah. Everyone is like, oh, this is the best donut spot. Girl, it's the same donut that I can get from anywhere else. Like, there's literally nothing.
Oh, you put bacon on it? Cool.
Yeah, there's nothing that separates a donut besides the toppings you're putting on it. Like, the way you make a donut is no different than, like, you can make a bad donut, but I don't think you can ever make like a great donut. And so that's just my personal opinion on donuts. So we go to this donut spot and we get donuts, and they're all right. They're not like, the toppings are what made the donut for me, not the actual donut itself. So then
it wasn't just like sprinkles.
No, we got this like apple fritter kind of donut. So it had like this apple topping, and that's what was really good. And then I got a caramel. We ate so unhealthy this day. A caramel cinnamon roll.
Your anniversary.
It was delicious. Caramel cinnamon roll with pecans on top. Yeah. So it was like the pecans and caramel, obviously. Like a cinnamon roll is a cinnamon roll. So then afterward, we were supposed to go rent bikes and bike around this park.
Were you going to bike to Industry City in Brooklyn?
Honestly, one of my favorite memories that I honestly, in recent time, one of my favorite memories with my husband. Like,
it was really cute.
It's like, I will never forget biking around Brooklyn. It starts to rain. It's just my husband and I under this awning. Like, there's just rain all around us. It was so romantic. We were like holding hands, like trying to keep each other warm from this really cold rain. It was so sweet. I loved it.
Beth was home on a meeting.
Yeah, Beth was working. And so I wanted to like kind of replicate that and rent bikes, but I forgot 2 main things. Apparently there is a bike shortage in the United States right now.
Geez, there's like 50,000 city bikes always available.
So there's apparently like a severe bike shortage. So I called in because on their website, it says you can rent bikes, but I stupidly didn't call in. And so a lot of these websites have not updated since COVID. And so we drive all the way out to this park and we can't find this bike place anywhere. So we go to like Plan B. And so we go to a different park. We go to a different place.
You got Plan B?
We got Plan B. He was pregnant.
I was just going to say, well, it's not that he was pregnant. There was a risk of potential
There you
pregnancy.
go. Yes. And
only effective within 48 hours, by the way. The sooner, the better.
There you go. So we called this guy and he was super sweet. And he's like, yeah, dude, there's a bike shortage. There is a place you can rent bikes. So we look it up. It's like almost 2 miles away. I was like, there's no way we can transport bikes like to this park. Like, I'm sure we could bike 2 miles, but like, we're going to be fucking winded biking 2 miles just to get to the park, to go all the way around the park, and then have to bike 2 miles back just to get like return them.
Mm.
And so I had a plan B this entire time, and it was to drive to this really small town in Missouri and rent bikes, because it's supposed to be like this really pretty small town. I think it's called Decadence, Missouri.
And you're probably like in more of like the peak foliage time, right? For you
Yeah,
guys?
so it's gorgeous. There's like
Yeah.
leaves falling. So I had this plan B that we drive to this small town that was like 45 minutes away and go on this huge biking trail. So that was supposed to be our plan B. I call up this bike shop because they say that, you know, bikes are available. We literally call. It just so happens that this weekend the guy had sold the shop to new owners, and this is the only weekend that they weren't open. And he was like, I called him and I told him, hey, it's my anniversary. I want to do it. And he's like, dude, I am so sorry. The owner, there's brand new owners. They own all the bikes. There's tons of stuff that you can do out here. He's like, but they forgot to renew the permits. So they actually have to close down the shop just for this weekend until the permits get renewed. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? So we just decided to like go to Target.
And search for amiibo cards.
Search for amiibo cards. So we just like searched for amiibo cards around town and then went home. So even though we didn't have this like super romantic idyllic thing, it was still fun. We made dinner and
it is really cool though.
Shows. Yeah.
That you were celebrating 2 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. For those who don't know, like the backstory of my husband and I met internationally. He's in Ireland. I'm in the United States. We met playing Minecraft and making YouTube videos together. And so we've been together for about like 4 years now, like 4.5, I would say. And
I had just joined your community right when you started saying, like, you were still like not 100% out as a couple yet.
Yeah.
And you were like, I remember you played some game with him and you were like, ooh, what if we were like a couple in this game? And I was like, they fucking like. It was so funny. I had no idea who he was. So people were like, are you dating Nigel? I was like, who the fuck's Nigel? I only like heard Delphron. And so like, it was so funny. But then like literally within a month of me joining your community, you guys like were like, we're dating and Nigel's starting a stream.
Yeah. Oh my God. So that's just how it's just crazy. We went through the whole green card process, which is a nightmare. Don't recommend it. If you don't have to go through the green card process, don't do it. It is a shit show right now, especially with COVID. Especially if you live in a state like New York or California, you're not getting that green card application back in like 2 years. So yeah. But yeah, let's switch topics. Let's get to this episode. So speaking of New York, we are about to cover The Nanny, season 2, episode 9, Stock Tip.
She was there. That's how she became the nanny.
I have to say, I have yet to get a tip from the stock market.
Honestly, same. I still don't even understand stocks. I have stocks.
Can I tell you something? This is actually somewhat related to what we're talking about and an important thing. So on Friday of this past week, I made my grand re-entrance into the world of theater as a viewer and got to go to an off-Broadway show of the musical Assassins, which I have never seen. I'm a huge Sondheim fan. There's not a piece of, like, I would say the one I don't care about the most is Sweeney Todd, but I still like it more than like Andrew Lloyd Webber or most like other stuff, right? And as is the case with Sweeney Todd, there's always a dark twist with Sondheim. So whether it's Into the Woods or Sweeney Todd itself or Company or whatever, there's something that's like dark that touches on something that's human, right? And so this whole musical is about people who attempted to assassinate the presidents in the past or have succeeded. So all of the main characters are literally would be or are assassins, and it's a look at their like what kind of like their story, like what led them to like want to assassinate the president.
That's really weird.
It's so campy at times. It's so funny, but then also they all have revolvers, and I was in the front row. It was the kind of stage where like the audience is on three sides. And so they're walking past you all the time. But there's a guy, Will Swenson, who's a very famous Broadway actor, and Stephen Pasquale, who's also a very famous Broadway actor. The two of them are the biggest stars of the show. Will Swenson played Charles Guiteau. Charles Guiteau assassinated President Garfield. And this President Garfield had the second like shortest presidency because he got like inaugurated, got shot like a week after he got inaugurated, then was always sick from the wound and then died like 2 months later or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And the only reason why I know this is because when I was in 12th grade, my econ teacher didn't teach us a lick of economics. This is why I don't know the stocks. This is why I don't know anything. He didn't teach us shit. And he was on his way out because he was retiring. And he was just like, I'm going to show you guys a documentary on Charles Guiteau. And so we watched a 4-day documentary on this fucking dude who assassinated like the president who's meant the least in history. Like it made no sense. And so when I saw that guy on stage on Friday, I was like, what the fuck? Why does he have such a big role in this musical?
Who makes a musical about like people that try to assassinate or have assassinating presidents? That's weird, very weird.
It's a really dark concept. But there were things that were just really fucking funny about it. Because what they're doing is this is why it's so messed up, right? Because the whole point of the show is to question, why is this a show? That's the point.
I feel like that's like
you have to sit back and kind of
40% of musicals. Anyway,
well, I mean, you have to sit back and say like, this is really funny, but I'm literally laughing at people who are insane.
Yeah.
And like, obviously the way that they're like portraying it is like in a funny way or whatever.
Yeah.
But then there's like moments like literally the guy who played Charles Guiteau was like so unhinged at times. And they all were pointing revolvers like at the audience. And he was pointing it at me with this face at one point. And I was like, don't like this. All of the sounds of the gunshots were pre-recorded. They weren't actually shooting anything.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, 2 weeks after Alec Baldwin's thing or whatever it was, 2 weeks after that, I'm sitting there being like, is that fucking thing real?
Let me just move. Okay. I know we're on a huge tangent.
Stocked. I don't understand it because of Charles Guiteau.
I love that that was a tangent. But here's another one. Speaking of musicals, I don't know why you told that story, and it reminded me of this time I saw an off-Broadway musical, and by off-Broadway as in I don't think it's ever been on Broadway, musical of Evil Dead the musical. Girl, there was a splash zone because of all the blood. It was amazing.
Okay, that sounds sick.
There was
a splash zone on Friday too. It was called Stephen Pasquale fully it went right on my face. And I was like, you know what? I don't even care. If I get COVID, I get to say Stephen or Pasquale gave it to me.
Oh my
one of the biggest Broadway actors. I'm going. You're like, I was trying to catch it like snowflakes.
I had my legs open. You're like, Dylan's here. I'm just like dying at the fact that I just look around and there's just legs, and I'm going, "Oh, Dylan, Dylan, what are you doing here? What the fuck? You're here too?
Wow,
wowie." So, Evil Dead the musical.
Can't deal. How about Stock Tip the Nanny?
Yes. Okay. Stock tip. So this episode, if I have to give you my rating, we're 19 minutes into this podcast episode. We're just now reviewing it.
It's a good thing it's a 20-minute episode.
Yeah. So this episode is hands down a 10 out of 10. Best episode of season 2. Here's why. Physical comedy on point. The moments for each character on point. Like there was not a single character in this besides like Maggie. She's in it for 2 seconds, but even her moment was kind of funny where she's like, I don't know who to pick, but like that, whatever. But everyone had such great moments that it like bright blah, 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 words. It breathed new light. Like, oh my God, I can't talk. It breathed new life
It breathes new light.
Did you just mute and fart?
No, I burped.
Oh.
I've been drinking a lot of seltzer. I want a point to. These are all what I've drank tonight, and I'm on this one right now.
She's got a problem. Polar Seltzer, sponsor us. Oh, please don't do that.
That's what he looked like when he was.
That's creepy.
It was creepy.
So I'm definitely giving this a 10 out of 10. Thought it was amazing. I'm gonna call out my outfit of the episode because there's a lot of great outfits in this episode. I'm giving it to Cece because her first outfit that Cece wore.
When she's trying to convince of the cottage.
So cute. Yeah, with like the little gold necklace. And it was like just perfectly cut where it looked like professional enough. But like the gold, it was like highlighting this beautiful gold necklace and like the shoulder pads. I was here for it. So
I thought you were for sure going to go with Brighton and his new clothes.
Okay, before we get into this episode, I need to have a conversation about how awkward it is that Brighton went from hey guys to hey guys. Like his puberty, like he is going through puberty. And it feels like that you could clearly tell that there was a break in filming. And then they came back and they filmed this episode, and Brighton had somehow aged like a year, it looks like.
And that's what I think is interesting, right? So I don't know what a filming schedule in the 90s for a sitcom like this looked like, but I know that they would do blocks of filming at a time and then take like a month off, right? Yeah. So I'm fairly certain what happened with him is that he got braces in the meantime. And, you know, just boys at that age, or kids in general, are just going to grow.
You're like all of a sudden you got like a third leg growing out of your back. Like you're just like,
that is not what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were saying you also got a third leg growing between your legs. That's what I thought you were going with it. I was like,
we saw that episode. We know that's not the case.
It hasn't happened yet. God damn it.
Yeah.
Stop spoiling yourself. But it is funny. Like he literally, they do a zoom in on him because he's like, oh my God, I look just like Snap from Snap, Crackle, and Pop. You know, like the Rice Krispies.
Which he did. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, he was, but it's so funny to me too, because I look at that and he's wearing like the collared, like 1 or 2 buttons up at the top, kind of like polo shirt. And I'm like, that was the uniform of every 90s boy.
Oh,
and
for
early
sure.
2000s.
Yeah.
Name a boy who was not wearing that shirt.
Name a gay man who doesn't own that in their current closet right now.
Just saying.
That's the truth right there. Mm-hmm. The little shirt with like 2 buttons. Every gay man owns one of those shirts. I don't care who you are. With
block colors.
Some with block colors, some if it's just like a solid color. But it like you always have those 2 little buttons open. Or sometimes if you're really fancy.
A little bit of chest hair.
Yeah. Well, not all of us have chest hair, Beth, like you.
Some of us are just blessed.
Yeah, for real.
I have a question.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Is it possible to have... It must be. It must be possible to have like a hairy chest and also have like
boobs,
breasts.
Oh, for sure. Oh, right? Yeah.
That's got to be a thing.
Yeah. For sure.
I think that's hot.
My mom used to complain about it all the time.
Really?
No. I just wanted to see your reaction. That was
I'm like,
no.
Okay.
My mom did not have a hairy chest. My mom used to complain about the massive amounts of boob sweat she would have.
I could feel that. People don't talk about boob sweat enough, and that is the main reason why I wear a bra, is because otherwise it's just the undercarriage is just a lot.
My mom is definitely #free the nipple. Like that is her vibe. Everybody. And so my mom, when I was growing up, this might be TMI. I don't care. My mom used to like hardly ever wear a bra because she has humongous boobs, like massive tits. And so I don't mean that in like a sexual way. I mean, like my mom's got huge boobs.
I was just going to say, I don't think I've ever referred to my mom's boobs as her tits.
But like my mom used to like constantly like, I'm not even kidding you, have to like pick them up because it like hurt so much under the boob. And so if what that tells me is if I had been a woman, I would have huge knockers.
Do you have a sister who?
Not on my mom's side.
Not in mom. Okay.
Yeah. So Yeah, just huge, massive boobies.
All I'm saying is I was in a play and I had to say the line, the cards aren't stacked that way and neither am I. After I looked down at my chest as to say I wasn't stacked, and I wasn't in high school. And I'll never forget that I did that in dress rehearsal. My aunt came to visit and watch it, and she couldn't help herself. By the way, I am mini Alice. Her name is Alice. I am her. Okay. But she's in the audience, and I go, the cards aren't stacked that way, and neither am I. And she goes, don't worry, honey, they'll grow out. Like, yelled it from the audience at dress rehearsal.
Icon. Okay.
Is that not the most Beth Dixon thing?
No, it's amazing. I feel like that's like very much your family.
She took me bra shopping for the first time, and it was the most embarrassing experience of my entire life. Aww. She just kept trying to find the largest bra and going, look at the size of this one, and then like finding the most branded. I'm like, I'm here for a training bra.
That's so cute. Is that awkward? I don't know. I know we're getting on this huge tangent. I'm sorry, y'all.
It's fine. It's fine.
But training bras, so it's not awkward when you go with your parents to buy a training bra?
It's awkward when you go with your parents. It's less awkward if you like are going with girlfriends and you're like all in it together, because then you're like, okay, we're all doing it. Okay, that's cute. But I'll tell you what, when you're 9 and you all of a sudden you hear that people are wearing training bras, you're like, Mom, I want one, even if you don't need one. I mean, nobody really needs a training bra. The whole point of them is to get used to it, girls.
That's weird.
It's really weird. So it's basically training bras are just sports bras, right? Yeah. So it's all we're doing at that point is reinforcing the patriarchy. That's what it is.
Wait, are bras patriarchy? I thought they were support.
Well, here's the thing. They were designed by the fucking man, not by women. So they have recently been reclaimed in some capacity. But the whole point of them beforehand was to like shape them in a way that is more attractive to men to look at.
Boobs taller, make them higher.
Looking nice there.
Yeah, perking them up.
Perking them up, those boobies, you smush them together, make a good cleavage. No, so like literally it's just a sports bra that you're wearing, right?
Yeah.
And so the cool thing to do when I was in elementary school / early middle school was to go to a friend's house, and then we'd all just wear boxer briefs, which none of us wore during the day. It was literally like you bought boxer briefs to just go to slumber parties in. And you would wear a training bra and boxer briefs. And then we would each assign ourselves of which Spice Girl we were going to be, and then perform concerts for the parents all night long.
Oh my God.
So yeah, we were cool.
I relate. Okay. We got to get back to the episode.
Yeah.
So back to Brighton. I get this storyline, and I like that they introduced this storyline when he has conveniently started looking much older to like further compound the fact that he's going through puberty. Like this is definitely a very puberty thing.
Oh, totally.
Like, oh my God, I need to like change the way I look. I need to like fit in. So touche to the writers for writing this in when clearly he's starting to get older. I'm wondering if like this plot line wasn't in the original episode and they were like, they saw him and were like, fuck, okay, we're actually going to introduce that in this episode.
So funny you mentioned that. There's a part 2 to that, like Ask Fran Drescher thing about the nanny. And so she was talking about how she hired Steven Posner to be on the show. And basically his whole job was to look out and watch out to make sure that the kids not only were doing their work, but to be a resource for them. And like as a bridge between the kids and production to make sure that they weren't overindulgent, that they were not becoming entitled, that they were doing their schoolwork, but that also that their concerns were being heard by production. And so she said that like her biggest thing was that she really cared about, if we're going to have kids in a show, I'm not messing them up for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
They need to be. And she said Steve is like one of the best to have in that.
That's awesome. That's
so I wouldn't be shocked if there was a moment where they're really talking to the kids and figuring out what are the things that you're thinking. Don't you? And like, I'm sure that there was character study that they had to do, right? Like, what do you think Brighton would be worried about right now? And like, reiterate that. So when I heard that, she didn't say, oh, we talked to the kids to try to figure out like what's going on with their lives and write about it. But there is a part of it that I could see them saying, oh, Brighton/Benjamin is going through puberty right now. Let's write a story about it. Essentially. It's not like being like, how's it feel to have your balls drop? It's not like one of those things. It's like, it's like I don't feel comfortable in my own body and the image I'm putting out there. Kind of thing.
I don't remember. Never mind. I was going to say, I don't remember when my balls dropped. Like they were just dropped. So let's see. I want to talk about this funny grocery store scene. I thought this was like so well done. That I was like, this is the smallest grocery store. And then I remembered it's set in New York and I was like, oh, it makes sense.
That looked large to me. I was like, that is unrealistic that people could be side by side in an aisle and you have to be single file half the time.
It's so true though. It's like weird in New York. And so I love this idea that like she's going, and again, further the class divide, the class humor here, where Maxwell is making fun of Fran for finding a man at the grocery store, and she runs across a guy who says that he works on Wall Street. And so first off, he dresses very well for selling hot dogs. So like if he sells hot dogs and he can afford these suits, like, I mean, I guess he used to be a stockbroker. It probably
was, I was just going to say, it's probably left over. And a lot of what you'll find, too, is that people fake it till they make it here, too.
That's true.
A lot in New York, which is if you can look the part, people will trust you. And then, like, that can, like, help you out.
No, that makes sense. And so I liked this idea of Fran dating this guy and him kind of seeing the success that Maxwell has and is like trying to leech off of it a little bit. And it all culminates into that gentleman's club scene, which is just fucking great. It's a good scene. Good. I've never actually, I have been to a gentleman's club once.
We should clarify when we say gentleman's club, we don't mean a strip club.
No. Yeah.
We mean like an all men's club.
It's basically a cigar bar.
One of those private clubs. I've been to an all men's private club.
Have you?
Mm-hmm.
You dressed as a guy, didn't you? Just like Fran did. Oh my God. I love that for you.
I was Seth.
My name's Seth, guys.
Like, hey, what's up, guys? So anyway, I was just sitting back.
Dixon.
Seth Dixon. No, actually, so what ended up happening is that my university used to hold an event there. And so we'd get special permission and we could only use this one floor. But I used to check in guests. And there was one club member who, when he saw me, he was like, do you work here? And I said, no, I'm working the event upstairs. You're here for, the school I work for. And he goes, no, get your ass out of here. And like told me to do that. And I was like, sorry, I'm working the event here. And he goes, you don't belong here. And then somebody like literally was like, sir, why don't you come this way? Like took them away. And I was just like, the fuck is wrong with you? He was like legitimately mad that somebody like a woman was.
Wow. That's weird.
Yeah. Right. I was like, dude, you have the whole rest of the club. We have the first floor. There's many floors.
That's so strange. But
that's
when I went,
rich white guys for you, some of them.
When I went, it was gross. It smelled like cigar smoke everywhere. And it's so dimly lit that I was like, this is like prime gay hookup territory. It's
How
like
many
really
people in the
weird.
DL there, do you think?
I don't know. I don't think there's any. I mean, there's probably some on the DL, but it's like weird. Like for somewhere that's like very broy and not gay, you're lighting this place to be very much like a gay bar. Like,
well, also like that's kind of what I think they play off of with this scene, right?
Yeah.
How many people are there where it's like, oh no, we're totally straight, wink, wink. Like I actually think that's much more prevalent.
Probably. I mean, I've only been once, so I can't speak to it too much. But I want to say I am loving The Nanny adopting so much gay humor. There were so many hilarious gay jokes in this. And they never come across as like punching down. Like no one's ever like, ew, gross, gay people. It's always just like, oh shit, I'm in an awkward situation where people might think I'm gay in a place where there's masculine stuff everywhere. But at the end of the day, like Maxwell's like, whatever, I don't give a shit. Like he gets over it
I
pretty
think that the
fast.
show does a really good job, especially given the time frame of when this was airing. Now, is that to say that they're perfect all the time? No. I mean, I rewatched an episode from season 3 last night, and they make it. There's kind of like a trans joke in there that I don't think celebrates trans people. I think that punches down a little bit, but so I'm not okay with that. But I do think that overall, what I like about the show is that it was very progressive for the time. And in that same interview that just came out a couple days ago, Fran, the first question they asked was, "Hey, like, this has always been a show that's been loved by the queer community. Like, what was it like to write jokes about, queer culture without making it about like making them a punching bag?" And she was like, number one, the Nanny gained its popularity not because of families only, but because the gay community in particular blabbed on, loved the style, and like became like loved the characters, loved Cece, loved Niles, loved the shade that Niles was throwing, and basically was like they loved everything about it. So therefore, how could we not like celebrate them? Also, we're talking about New York City, like
New York's very gay.
We have to like play to it. So she was like, I'm very happy that we were able to do that, and we wanted to be inclusive. So I was like, yes.
It was good. And I also really liked seeing Fran in drag. I thought that was kind of cool. She plays a guy very well.
I thought so too.
Very shocked. I love this like accent that she puts on, and like the interaction with the waitress. It's no big deal.
Do you know what the theme song is that was playing that gave her the idea to do that?
It was. Oh my god! What is it? That sounds so familiar. I don't know.
That's I Love Lucy.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. I'm so stupid. How did I not get that?
So it's literally her just directly being like, oh, I'm going to be the I Love Lucy of the 90s. And that's what I love the most about this episode. It's like they don't even try to hide it anymore. This is like they're coming into their own, realizing that Fran is a physical comedian and that we're starting to see how much of a physical comedian Cece is.
Oh my God. Cece stole this episode in some aspects.
Absolutely. And we are starting to see, other than just stand there kind of stoic and say something dry, Niles is starting to get a little bit more physical and have facial expressions and tone changes and such too, right? And none of that just stays stagnant. This will always be something that's dynamic, that's changing and growing. And I love that. Like I said, this episode really, I think, sets it up for the rest of the series.
Yeah, and I also like that Cece is starting to realize that she can get back at Niles because theoretically she's his butler, or he's her butler. And
she's his butler.
Yeah.
I was like,
I know. He's her butler. And so she can like use that against him because like at the end of the day, she makes more money than you do. And she also is probably more successful than you are. And so, I mean, you can dig at her all you want, but like at the end of the day, she goes back to her own home and like doesn't get laid. And so we really need to like just spotlight Cece is fucking killing it. Lauren Lane, Lauren
Lane.
Yeah, Lauren Lane, phenomenal in this desk scene. She's playing it up. She's so campy. She knows what to say. Her laugh is diabolical. She plays such a good villain of sorts.
Did you hear that?
No.
There were people yelling on the street, but it was so loud. I thought maybe you would
hear police.
Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police. Whoop, whoop. Yeah. So, I love that so much. And when Fran came in to give her the cucumber sandwiches, in my head, I was like, is this the scene where she goes, Nanny, fine, want something? And it was like, it is. It's one of my favorite Cece moments of the entire series. She's just like, oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. She's like fucking orgasming at this. I fucking loved it. Yes, you need a sig and
a sig button cuddle.
Sig button cuddle.
Yeah.
just phenomenal. I truly can't even comprehend. Also, I'm gross. Definitely was checking out Charles Shaughnessy's button bulge in this episode. He is
What did you find?
bulging in some of these
Oh,
episodes.
he is. See,
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
pay attention to that. Like,
See, I'm gross, but only like in movies and stuff do I really like. I'm like, wow, what the? I was like, they didn't stop the scene and
unless
ask me to
it's something that's,
readjust.
I can't tell you how many times people would be like, did you see this TikTok of this guy doing a golf swing in like really loose shorts? And I'm like, no. Then I watch it. I'm like, what's the big deal? They're like, watch again. And I'm like, I watch and I'm like, what's the big deal? They're like, watch his crotch. And it's fully just like swinging. It's like the most obvious thing, but I just don't look at like people's crotches or butts or breasts or anything like that. It's just like, it's so funny to me. So like when people are like, I was checking out that, I was like, oh, was it good? Because even though I've watched this episode 25 times.
Looked very good in this episode.
Oh, see, I feel like 90s dress pants never did men any good. So like, I guess that's probably part of it too.
I mean, to be honest, it wasn't like he is like a huge ass. It just fits him well. It looks really good.
What matters.
Who was the actor that played the love interest?
I don't know off the top of my head. I can look it up quickly.
Let's see. Stock tip. The Nanny. I have to see who it was because he looks so familiar, and I need to like just know because he's been in other things.
Corbin Bernsen. Yeah.
What has he been in?
Bernsen.
Oh my god, this is gonna drive me nuts.
Okay,
he's still acting.
Yeah, he sure is.
You better work.
So he was in some films.
He was in The Punisher. Oh my god, this man's got so many things. He was in Jag.
I want to see what he was in before
The Nanny.
Yeah. Apparently he hosted Saturday Night Live in 1990.
Oh, I think he's just a very well accomplished actor.
Yeah.
That's amazing. He looked very familiar, but I was like, I can't put a name to a face, but he was phenomenal in this episode also. His physical comedy was great. He did a good job about like just his mannerisms really sold the character, and you knew he was up to something, but you weren't sure exactly what. And I also want to, there's one more thing I have to bring up. I thought it was really funny when they were clearly filming like in New York and like all the extras, and you could, there was one extra, it's just in my head. As Nanny is walking by, he does this. And clearly like you can tell like typically
when they were in downtown. I got you.
Downtown, yeah. And typically the extras don't look at the actors because you want the focus to, but my eyes immediately went to this extra who was like clearly looking at Fran as she walks by, and I was just like, fangirl, she's fangirling. I know
100% did not film that in an actual.
Oh no, that was definitely like extras. Yeah. But
oh yeah, overall, I love that.
I thought this was a great episode, and I fucking loved it.
So, as I said, this kind of sets up a lot of the comedy and such for future episodes. It's very physical. There's many homages to I Love Lucy. We're going to have more guest stars that play certain roles and such. What do you think, having, being like a season and a third into this series, what do you think is the magic potion for like the best episodes?
The magic potion for the best episodes is it needs to have a plot that's not too convoluted. It needs to have side stories that stand up on their own, that don't take too much attention away from the main plot. It needs to have character moments that don't come across as one-dimensional. So they need to have like some sort of layers to them or some sort of onus for why they're doing what they're doing. And lastly, it needs to have physical comedy, because clearly every episode that has had good physical comedy has been rated really high. And I think those are like the four main things for something like this. Anytime I can think back to an episode I didn't like, it was lacking in one of the four areas.
Yeah.
And some, if it's lacking in more like multiple, like it's clearly a bad episode. And so this one just really knocked it out of the park. That's why I think I gave it a 10 out of 10 for this, because every one of those things is great. Every character had layers. Every character had motivation. Cece had peaks and valleys. Niles had peaks and valleys in this. Like, it was so good. And they used their time really well. It didn't feel rushed. It didn't feel like it didn't feel like it was too long, because sometimes I'll watch a Nanny episode and it's only 20 minutes and I'm like, this felt like it was like a 30-minute episode. Or sometimes I'll watch an episode of The Nanny and it's gone in like 5 minutes. I was like, where was the plot? Because they have so much setup that when they actually get to the story, it's gone.
Just gone. The only thing about this episode is that I feel like the first scene of Niall, Cece, Fran, and Max in his office goes on like 30 seconds too long. Like, I
thought it was great, honestly.
Just like, okay, cool, we're gonna make the investment. Like, it just goes on, like, it's just like,
yeah,
there's no necessary point to it then there. But again, I don't care, because I love anytime those four characters are together. I love seeing the dynamic. Is it going to be the two domestic staff having a moment? Is it going to be, Cece and Fran competing for Maxwell? Is it going to be Maxwell ignoring Niles, Fran, or Cece, or many of them? It's so funny.
Many, yeah.
So this leads me to my other question for you. We got a pretty big hint here, which we already know that
Maxwell wants to fuck Fran.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew
that this is the case, but we haven't had him fully say, I'm attracted to you. And then he said, oh, thank God, when he says Miss Fine, when she's dressed as Wilbur, and he goes, no, it's me, Miss Fine. She goes, oh, thank God. I thought that, I found you strangely attractive, and I thought all these years of me being in musical theater was
that was so funny. I loved that.
It's so funny, but it is a moment that you're like, so he's just outwardly saying, I find you attractive.
I mean, I think it's clear that like Fran knows that she likes Maxwell. Maxwell knows that he likes Fran, and it's just they have to. Eventually, they're going to have that moment where they like confess each other's love for each other.
Now, as I recall, you didn't think that would happen this season.
So my original at the beginning of season 1, I didn't think that they were going to ever touch on this Maxwell and Fran plot until like late season 2, early season 3. Okay. Then we started getting it in season 1, and I was like, well, they're definitely going to hit it in season 2. But I thought that they were going to touch on it early in season 2 and focus the plot around that, because I felt they wanted to keep the high of season 1 because they were getting all these ratings, that they wanted to keep it going. Yeah. So I was wrong in that prediction. I do think there has to be a moment within season 2 where they do eventually like have that moment of maybe they kiss, and it's like not because of a play, but it's because they really want to kiss each other.
I'm just going to say, we've only seen them kiss twice. The first was when he kissed her because she gave him a good review at the end of season 1. And the other time is when she's, rehearsing for a play, but there's obvious, sexual tension between the two of them.
So I think that we're going to like see them in these like silly compromised positions more and more. And I think we will get something by the end of season 2.
Do you think they're going to fuck?
No, they're not going to have. I think because of the nature of this show, they're not going to have sex till marriage.
So you think you're going to get married?
Oh, yeah. That's not happening until like season 4.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not happening for like a while. But, okay. I think they are eventually going to get married. Maybe they'll fuck before marriage. Who knows? But I don't know. I would like it if they didn't. Maybe they won't, because the Nanny tends to be on the spicier side with some of the stuff that they cover. And I don't think if Fran is the kind of woman who carries friends like Val and Sylvia, she's fucking before marriage.
Hey, I mean, clearly she's already engaged.
She is not a virgin. So my MVP and my LVP.
Yeah.
My MVP is going to go to... I want to give 2 MVPs, but I'll give a real MVP. So my real MVP has to go to Fran. She did a great job here. Diffused the situation. She did a great job of saving the day and really put herself out there to start dating. And she found a guy that she liked. And I thought she did a really good job. And I like the point where she makes is like, I still would have dated you if you had sold hot dogs. It's the fact you lied to me. And that's the reason why I can't trust you anymore. And so she really didn't give a shit about like what his job was. In fact, he seemed to be doing well for himself. He took her out to a lobster dinner. But it showcases more of like Fran's character. And like she's a solid stand-up woman that is just looking for love. And so I have to give MVP to her. I'm going to give LVP to this is a tough one because everyone does a really good job here. I'll talk it out. So
talk it out.
I want to give it to Cece because she failed at the investment.
Yeah.
But like plot-wise, she was great. She had a lot of great stuff that she did. And honestly, she had some of the funniest scenes. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I can give
this
it to
is where
her.
It's really funny because you have traditionally had the criteria of given because of plot, because I think that you tend to give out your MVP, LVP in a way that like you would if you were doing it for Lost.
Yes.
Which is very plot driven.
But it's so hard for this one because
so
she's
different
not in the plot.
Because at the end of the day, like this isn't a show where it's like necessarily pays tribute to things that have happened before. Like it does, but it doesn't. So it's not like you had to watch last week's episode in order to watch this one or something like that, right?
True.
So it's always so funny when I figure out like what your rating's going to be. And just as a little sneak peek, Tyler told me last week that you have given Fran MVP every week except for once.
She's been great. She's really been great.
And I was like, and that is a testament to how much she's grown as the lead actress of this series.
Yeah. I mean, if we were going by plot, I have to give it to Cece because she got in the way of the actual plot of the episode. But if I had to give it to like performance, honestly, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can give it. They all were great. So I guess I'll give it LVP to Cece. Overall, thought this episode was great. I thought it was the par for the course. Like this is the level that I want all episodes to be at. There's so far been only 2 episodes that have made me really laugh this much. Truly, and that's this episode, the stock tip, and then the one from season 1 with the vacation. I can't remember the name of.
Schlepped Away.
I loved that one as well. And that one I think also hit all 4 of those tenets of like physical comedy. All the characters were on point. They had layers. There was a good story. So overall, chef's kiss.
Well, I will give you the title of next week's episode, which is episode 10 of season 2. It's called The Wine Cellar, but wine is spelled WHINE.
Okay. I have the dumbest fucking theory for this episode.
Go for it.
This episode is Maxwell renovating his house.
Okay.
They're doing renovations to put in a wine cellar. Nanny, the nanny, Fran, goes down there and accidentally gets stuck over the weekend. She gets trapped in the wine
over
cellar.
The weekend? Holy shit.
Yeah. Well, there's like food and stuff down there. But she gets trapped in this wine cellar. Okay. And so while the rest of the family is trying to figure out where Fran is, the comedy is the fact that Fran's not there. And they're all like, where the fuck did Fran go? And Fran is in the basement, like full on survival mode, just like trying to survive in the wine cellar. And eventually they find her. And that's like the plot of the episode.
All right.
I'm so off.
No.
I would love it if that's the actual episode.
It's
No, it's not because you'd react more.
Pretty much it.
Get out of here. Shut the fuck up, Beth.
It's pretty much it.
Okay. We'll see. We'll see next week. We'll see next week.
So, yeah.
Who is the centric? Like, who would you say it's about, kind of?
Fran.
Okay. All right.
Fran.
Well, this has been fun.
Cece, to a certain extent.
Oh, see, that would feed even more into the theory because Cece would be ecstatic that Fran's nowhere in the house because she's trapped in the wine cellar.
I will say, I think it's not a centric episode at all, obviously, but Sylvia has some good parts in this next episode.
Okay, cool. So I'm very excited. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you're new here, make sure to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review. Check out our YouTube channel. Leave a subscription if you want. Or you can follow us on Twitter at Hot Mess Moments for updates about all upcoming episodes and memes.
Honestly, I've been trying to do a lot of clips recently.
Great. You're killing it.
And I'm enjoying it because I find the stupidest shit that you and I have done.
Honestly, it makes my day because I don't know when you tweet and I get an alert on my phone.
I don't ever tell
I'll just be like, oh my God, this funny moment. Let me rewatch it. It's so silly. I love
stupid. I love.
And you can also have those funny moments when you follow us on Hot Mess Moments and turn on notifications so you can get that little bright joy throughout your very stressful workday.
And a really free way to support us is to retweet that tweet.
Oh, baby.
Like it, retweet it, and send it out into the universe.
And subscribe.
Just sub. Be our sub.
Be our sub. But thank you all so much for tuning in. You can check me out at 8-Bit Dylan. I'll be on Twitch, Twitter, and I'm going to be starting back up my YouTube channel. Ooh, yeah, some new videos in the future. Beth, where can they find you?
You can find me at AugustaWind11 on all my social media and my Twitch channel as well. And yes, we have good things going on all the way around. So check us both out.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will see you next week for the Nanny episode. We will also see you on Thursday for our Lost coverage. And until then, bye.
Deuces, lovelies.